Hi folks, hope you are all well. It's really great news. I've been allocated my own coach, and as you can imagine from what I've had for the last few days, it is this one, NZB. NZB is going to be my allocated coach. As a through and through, out and out, bona fide Mercedes Turismo man, getting a brand new Mercedes Turismo is like a dream come true. I'm honoured, I'm privileged, and I'm going to have to take massively good care of it, I know, but that's all cool. So I'm going to hand over to voiceover Robin, who's going to talk a little bit more about allocated coaches and what that means, especially for you guys who are not drivers. And there's a little bit of you drivers as well. And then I'm going to come back in again after that.
So as we do a little walk around tour of the coach here, the first question is obviously, what does an allocated coach mean? So when you don't have an allocated coach, you just drive whichever vehicle is allocated or given to any particular job. So over the days and weeks and months, you drive almost all of the vehicles that the garage has, all different types, all different sizes on whatever job that vehicle has for it. When you have an allocated coach, you should, in theory, spend almost all of your time driving your allocated vehicle. So in a sense, there's a split between the jobs following the driver and the coach following the jobs available. So there's obviously some backwards and forwards, but in theory it means that you drive your coach most of the time for the jobs that you do. Obviously you're not going to drive it all of the time. The coach can be out 7 days a week, drivers can't. And obviously as allocation and jobs require it, you may drive other vehicles and other people may drive your coach. But in theory, an allocated coach basically means that you drive that coach most of the time. So there are obviously advantages and disadvantages to having an allocated coach. To advantages, the two key ones here are that the driver will usually keep their coach a little bit cleaner. So they have time and space and their own equipment on board. So they can keep it cleaner, so that's usually a good advantage of having an allocated coach. And the second one is that having someone who drives a vehicle regularly, in fact all the time, means that they tend to pick up on smaller or minor errors or problems quicker than other people would. Obviously if you don't drive a vehicle for 6 months, you don't know its little nuances. When you drive a vehicle every day, you pick up on those nuances. So that means that small things can get picked up sooner, which should in theory lead to less bigger issues happening as well. So it's better from an engineering point of view. There are, as you can imagine, a couple of disadvantages of having allocated coaches. I should imagine scheduling jobs is a little bit harder because of it. So obviously if a driver is on a day or not on working on a day, you've got to sort the vehicle out. I know the scheduler guy watches my videos, so Dan, I'm going to mention you now, never have done in the past. Comment below and tell us what it's like scheduling when you have allocated vehicles, please. Second point is that drivers then who have an allocated vehicle don't like it when they don't have their own coach to drive for some reason, because they're used to it, it's their little baby, so drivers get upset if they don't have their own coach. And the other thing is that drivers who have an allocated coach feel like other drivers don't take as good a care of their vehicles as they do. Now that in a sense makes sense. It's not your vehicle, you don't have that kind of special relationship with it, and that's why obviously the drivers keep their own allocated vehicles cleaner just because they can. So that's a couple of different disadvantages. There's a big split opinion amongst drivers on allocated coaches at all. Now if you are a tour driver where you start April, May time and pretty much do back to back tours all the way through to October, November time, usually with a partner, then having an allocated vehicle is you need it. You couldn't not have, it's essential in those situations. But for day drivers like me, it's a bit harder to to say whether you should have an allocated vehicle or not. I get the arguments both sides. So the caveat on the thumbnail right at the beginning is that it's not my coach. I know allocated drivers will call it their coach. It's just wording, it's just semantics. It's obviously not my coach. It obviously belongs to the company, and the company can allocate that vehicle on a day-to-day basis to whoever drivers they like. So that's kind of, some drivers say you shouldn't drive someone with an allocated coach, you should drive it. There's all the range of opinions, as you can imagine. So that's just a couple of things about allocated coaches. So there we go, just some thoughts, some information, some bits and pieces on how an allocated coach works.
Okay, so this coach needs a name. The practice of naming particularly transport vehicles with female names comes from back in the time of ships with sailors. I mean, I know there still are these days, but so ships, back in the old days, the sailors used to name their ships after female deities, female goddesses, because they believed that that would bring them luck and safety on the water, and their practice has kind of stuck from there on, and that's why vehicles are often given female names. There's some more modern kind of reasons and takes on it as well, you know, like the relationship is kind of akin to a marriage, with most drivers still being men. I know there are some women drivers and we need more, but the vast majority are men. So that, you know, that kind of marriage equivalent, so a male and a female name, you know, that's another one of the things that comes up if you do a bit of research on it. But anyway, so I want to name this coach and I want to give it a female name. Side note here, I'm not going to get into any discussions in comments about gender and gender identity. It's not relevant here. Just trust me, I want to give it a female name. So if you have a suggestion for a name, please drop it in the comments below, and I will take all of the suggestions, and I'm going to make a decision after that and see what we're going to call this coach. So it's going to be a she. We'll see what her name is. As always, guys, thanks for watching the video. Please like, comment and subscribe. As I say, put your name and any other comments down below. Please, this is, I know, a bit of a strange one, but actually now my channel's monetized. Please watch the ads. I know they're dull, I know they're boring, but please watch the ads through. It really does help the channel to do that. As always, comment. Okay guys, take care, drive safe, see you in the next one.